really be grateful, Kenji, for some amazing conversations that you've shared. And I think the stuff that you've shared about the cosmos humility, having that sense of purpose, having that sense of mindfulness whilst making decisions, acknowledging, right? And I love the fact that you acknowledge that all of us have material needs. All of us need money, but then asking yourself, how much of it do you need and why do you need it is important to help you, give you that grounding of finding that level of happiness. And I absolutely loved your idea of happiness being a sense of purpose, right? Working, like you said. And that just tells me, or that kind of reiterates what the message we're trying to send on this video, which is happiness could mean different things for different people. What does it mean for you, and how do you take it forward to kind of bring in that sense of positivity for you? Where we catch up with happy humans like yourself and I, and bring you their hacks and habits of how they lead a happier and consciously positive life. The episode today is so special for me. The reason is the location and Halfway Cafe on Lake Albert, by the Lake Albert or the Wagga Boating Club.
And they do good coffee, I must say.
Amazing coffee. So yes, now getting to our happy human. So welcome Kenji. Kenji Sato is our happy human for today. He is a journalist with the Daily Advertiser in Wagga. And I came across him because of our journey, our common interest in spreading happiness. So Kenji, a big thank you and welcome to Humans on Happiness. We'll start off by introducing yourself. Tell us the story of Kenji.
The story of Kenji. I'm not sure how interesting the story of Kenji will be, but hello. As TJ was saying, I'm Kenji Sato. I'm a reporter for the Daily Advertiser. But before I became a journalist, I didn't actually plan on becoming a journalist, to be completely honest. When I left high school, the first thing I studied was something called actuarial studies, which is
interesting.
A study of
insurance
and risk and things like that. Most actuaries go into life insurance,
right,
and they calculate the risk of death.
Wow.
And I can say that as time goes on, the chance of death eventually reaches 100%.
Absolutely.
We are all going to die. And death was something that really bothered me as a kid, as a very young kid, from a very early age. And I thought that, would it really be a worthwhile life well lived if I spent all day staring at Excel spreadsheets and calculating the risk of death and just making money? And I had a bit of an existential crisis. So I thought I would go and study journalism, because I thought that with journalism, at the very least, you get to leave your desk. You get to meet very interesting people like yourself as well, and in the same way, because I feel like I don't think I'm a very wise individual. I don't think I'm an expert in happiness or anything like that. But I thought that at the very least I could go and meet other people who do have some sort of insight, right? And meet other people who are wiser than myself, and just kind of, pick their brains and maybe learn something. Hopefully.
Very true.
So and I think that more or less. It's I got my wish fulfilled. I do get to go out every day and meet different people and talk to people, and a lot more than I would have had I become an actuary and who sits there calculating risk. One of the reasons why I wanted to become a journalist as well is because I felt that I wasn't particularly very good at networking and getting to know people and that kind of thing, and those kind of fears were confirmed, I feel, when I failed, the first cadetship, and I thought maybe I don't have what it takes, because I don't believe in these terms like introvert, extrovert, these kind of labels that we give upon ourselves, and we kind of just say that I'm bad at this thing, I always will be. I feel like that was a rather defeatist kind of attitude, so I feel that, throughout my it would be 3 years now being a journalist. I feel like I have developed some skills as well, obviously.
Absolutely. You're here, you're talking to us.
I'm here, I'm talking in front of a camera, which I can say, Kenji from 10 years ago wouldn't have been able to do.
Right.
So so I think it is possible to improve yourself, and it is possible to get out there and become a different person.
That is such a fascinating start.
And being a journalist was, in a sense, a very foolish decision because I'm playing to my weakness instead of my strength. But I sort of felt that even if I am better at maths, even if that's kind of where I will have more success,
right,
and the kind of thing, and make the most money, I don't think that's going to be is going to make me happy.
It's not a must that you have to pursue what you're good at or what you're comfortable at. In fact, as we all know, there's a very famous saying that goes, success lies outside your comfort zone. And I think that's a classic example of what you did. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
You played into your weakness against your strength. And what Kenji has not mentioned is, as a journalist, he has a conscious effort, or he makes a conscious effort to bring about positive stories into society and around him. And that's why I got the honor and the privilege of being written about by him, because he's always looking for positive stuff to share.
Yeah, I feel it's because there's a lot of bad news out there, right? Because one of the things that you realize when you enter journalism is that bad news sells. People, for whatever reason, love bad news. And because we have access at the Daily Advertiser to the statistics, right? How many clicks each article receives.
Correct.
And a pattern emerges, which is that bad news sells. If it bleeds, it leads, is the expression in journalism.
Why do you think such is the case?
Thing is that that's not a very accurate, I think, representation of society. I feel like there are a lot of really good things that are happening in the community, and there's a lot of good news out there. But I think what people tend to focus on in their own life, but as well as society at large, is people tend to focus on the negativity and the things that are getting worse. And
Why do you think?
I honestly don't know, but maybe it's an evolutionary, quirk of our nature. Because happiness is quite temporary, right? Because there's a concept in psychology called the hedonic treadmill, which is this
hedonic adaptation.
Yeah, or also known as hedonic adaptation, which is this idea that if something good happens to you, you'll be happy, but only very temporarily. After, like if you win the lottery, if you get a promotion at work, if you move to Hawaii, or if something good happens, then you'll experience that brief burst of happiness, but after a while you'll go back to your baseline level, and then you'll get used to, being wealthy or living in a nice house or living in Hawaii. And then you'll go back to regular dissatisfaction, which to me suggests that kind of happiness is a process, right? It's not a kind of destination. You don't become happy and then stay there forever.
100%. And I'm glad you put it that way, because that is true for what we know about happiness in the real world. And that is where our objective, or my objective, comes in as a happiness coach, to help people realize that, yes, if lived normally, normal human behavior in tandem with hedonic adaptation that Kenji mentioned is a true fact and reality. That as humans, we tend to come down to our base level of happiness regardless of how positive an experience we've been exposed to. However, you can change that. You can have those conscious efforts that are made on a daily basis, habits that you can inculcate in your life, because and I always like to use this example or anecdote, like keeping yourself healthy is not a one-time thing. It's not a one-time effort. You have to be at it. You cannot all of a sudden do 3 months gym extreme on the treadmill every day and then stop. That does not mean you'll be healthy for life. It needs to be an ongoing process, and at various levels, right? To be healthy, you need to be physically be fit. You need to look at your diet. You need to look at your sleep patterns, and so on and so forth. It's a well-rounded thing. Happiness, to be consciously, consistently happy, is a similar concept.
Because, in a sense, it is the most important thing in our life. Because almost by definition, we want to be happy. Everything that we do is in service of becoming happy or making other people happy.
You're
right?
talking my language.
Yeah. And yet, we don't really talk about it. It's not something that they teach in schools. It's not really something that people really take very seriously. Same thing when we think about a career, right? When you're leaving high school, you are asked to contemplate a career. People don't really think about the question. No career coach will, or maybe some of them will, but very seldom will a teacher or a career coach come up to you and ask what would make you happy.
Right.
And basically, instead they ask about what kind of
100%, yeah.
what skill sets do you have, and what's would be most productive, and where do you think that you would shine the most, and where do you think you'd find the most success?
And that jogs you back to what decision you made, the career change decision you made. Like probably the reason why you may have chosen actuarial sciences at that point of time was it was an in thing, it was good money,
yeah,
strengths of financial skill, but then you realized it's not something that could or would give you that level of satisfaction or happiness.
Yeah, because that is exactly the reason, because I was wondering at some point, I think I was a first or second year student, and I was wondering, like, why did I choose actuarial studies? And then the only thing I could really think of is the money, right? But then I started thinking, why do I want the money? Because and I still do. I love money, but
all of us do.
All of us love money. Yeah, but I was wondering, why do I love money? Because I don't actually love stuff as well. I've never really been the kind of person that wants stuff, like a car, a car, or an expensive house, or expensive shoes.
Right.
That kind of thing never really appealed to me. So the question arises, so why do I want money? And then the only answer I could really come up with was because of the admiration and respect of others, basically. And then I realized that's actually a very shallow reason to, spend your entire life staring at spreadsheets.
Absolutely.
So that you can win other people's validation, essentially.
Right.
And it's, again, like with hedonic adaptation, it's something that kind of you'll never really get to the point where you think, I've got enough money, and think, this is enough. I don't really want any more.
Beautiful. And on that note, I will pose a question to our viewers. Why do you want money? And more importantly, how much money is going to be enough for you? Have you ever wondered that? So, what does happiness mean to you?
What does happiness mean to me? This may sound a little bit sad, but for me, happiness is work as well, right? It's having something meaningful and gainful to do. Because I think that a lot of us have this fantasy of just retiring with all this money, on a beach in Hawaii and never having to do anything ever again.
Right.
But I think very quickly people find that they get bored of that kind of lifestyle and there's nothing to strive for, nothing to achieve. So for me, I think for me a very good mindset is this idea that it's never enough. You should always try and find something else to do or to learn.
Sure.
And to never really feel complacent that you've mastered something. Or if you feel like you have mastered something, to move on to something else as well. So I think that's one of the great things. There's an infinite amount of things that we could be doing at any one time. We could be learning, and so
it's a very fluid concept. What do you do to keep yourself happy?
I think that it's very important to always have something to strive for, something to improve, and to view work as a kind of as a means to, as the end itself as well. It's not a means to an end. It's something that you should find inherently meaningful and something that you can really get some enjoyment out of. I think that's very important for me as well.
And that's what I hear from you as well, that if you bring about a sense of purpose in what you do, or if you bring about a sense of purpose in your life, that itself will give you a sense of grounding or agency, if I can put it that way, and bring that level of happiness. So what would be your 2 pieces of advice on people around you on how to achieve some form of happiness?
I think that a very important step is to think about happiness consciously, because I think that a lot of us live our lives in a very passive, a very automatic kind of way. We behave in a certain way because that's how we've always behaved, and we tend to go back to certain defaults that we're used to. But I think that if we take a moment to step back and sort of think, why am I doing this? Same thing like when I was at university, and then at some point I started thinking, why am I here? And kind of why did I choose this path? If you have that level of introspection, you may realize that a lot of the things that you do are actively self-sabotaging, and that you would be much better off if you don't do it.
Or you're just in a very tough situation. How do you keep yourself calm?
I think that the standard advice is just to take a couple of deep breaths. And for me, it's to keep everything in perspective. There's an old, I I think it's like some ancient kind of Middle Eastern kind of proverb, which is "this too shall pass," and
Very true.
which is the idea that on a kind of cosmic level, none of this matters, and it also means that we don't have to really take anything too seriously as well.
Right. So Kenji, something that I'm going to drop on you, which I didn't tell you about. Welcome to the last segment of this episode, which is the Quick Fire 5, wherein I'm going to ask you 5 quick questions in a rapid fire segment, in a rapid fire form, and I'd like you to answer them in the shortest possible manner, be it a word or a sentence.
I'll try.
So Kenji, are you ready for Quick Fire 5?
As ready as I'll ever be.
Let's go for it. So, first one, would you rather be rich or happy?
Happy.
If you had one superpower in the world to help people, what would you like it to be?
I'll say what you said to me, which was happiness itself. I think that's a great superpower.
Beautiful. If you had a genie in front of you granting you 3 wishes, what would you want those 3 wishes to be?
3 wishes. Worldwide universal happiness. Worldwide universal, I don't know, well-being. No, that's pretty much the same thing, isn't it? It's to everyone's material needs to be met as well. Like
material needs to be met, all right?
Because that's important as well,
Yeah,
like kind of thing. Yeah. As much as I've been bagging on money is important.
Yes.
What else? And the 3rd wish is to wish for more wishes, I guess.
So, your 3 wishes is 1, worldwide happiness, 2, everyone's material needs to be met, and 3, for more wishes. Now,
yeah, that's the secret hack. Yeah.
I'll tell you what, the genie says no more wishes, but I'll give you 2 more questions.
Oh, no.
So, if you had a chance to write a letter or a postcard to anyone in the past, dead or alive, in your life or not in your life, telling them about the world today as it is, who would you write to and what would you tell them?
I mean, I'd probably just send a copy of Enlightenment Now to like young Kenji as well, and just because, like I said, it's a book that talks about how most things in life are getting better. So I'll just send a copy of that book to Kid Kenji, is what I would say.
And final question: if you had a chance to change any one thing in your life in the past, what would you change?
Maybe I wouldn't have studied actuarial studies. I would have gone like straight into the journalism path.
So, as a final take, what would be your one advice to the people out there as to how to be more happy?
I think that we should all make more conscious efforts to be happy, in the same way that we all make a very conscious effort to succeed in our careers or to, get 6-pack abs, which is definitely something that I'd like to do. It's kind of I am working towards 6-pack abs. I think we also need to realize that our mental health and our state of happiness is also not just also another important metric, it is the most important thing that we can be doing. And I think that things like this show and as well, and just actively kind of talking to other people about, what do they do to manage their own mental health, I think is an extremely worthwhile cause as well. So, hats off to you for doing this. I think it's
Thank you.
The most important thing in the world.
Thank you. So, thank you so much, Kenji. Once again, a hearty thanks from all of us from the world who are going to view this. But thank you for being our Humans and Happiness today. And best of luck with spreading that piece of positivity that you do out there through your role. And thank you.
Oh, no, thank you, TJ.